Hey guys, how's it going? So we decided to come down to my parents' garden center this evening to give you a tour of everything that's going on down here because there are some beautiful things, and I know that some of you haven't had a real good chance to get out to your local garden center yet this spring, so I thought you would enjoy just seeing some beautiful plants. We decided to come down here when they were closed so that we could move about freely and not worry about proximity issues. But I wanted to start right here in the front because this is always a really fun thing. When I worked down here, I loved to fill up the flower carts. There are four flower carts that get shopped really hard. So there are some holes in them, like you have to be refilled all throughout the day. And it was one of my favorite things to do in the morning, to come in, consolidate flats, move beautiful things up. Look at all these beautiful zinnias, just such a bright pop. And there's usually one cart that's full of herbs and vegetable starts, which we'll see a heck of a lot more of once we get to the greenhouse. So as we move down the sidewalk, the entrance of the nursery is right here. And we've got the really beautiful boxwood hedge right there. I love how that's trimmed. And I think that kind of started on accident a little bit because I think there was some damage in some. And then one of the guys that worked down here at the time kind of was trying to fix the damage, and then it kind of just turned into this scalloped hedge that looks really unique, I think. And then here is the nursery. So I'm going to move out of the way so you can see down the main aisle here. And you can see how, like, I feel when I walk in here, I feel like it's pulling me down, like in a good way. Like it's pulling me down the walkway. Like I want to see everything that's down there. And this alleyway was always a really fun one to display because it's where you want to put all of the beautiful blooming things or the seasonal things that are looking especially gorgeous. Like I just noticed this right here when we walked in. I haven't even seen this yet. This is a peony. Look at how huge this peony is. This is a type of Edo called Kiko, K-E-I-K-O. Look at the color of that. I feel like I need to have one of these in my yard. It's full of buds. I love that. So I think what we'll do is just kind of move slowly down the main aisle and just look at some beautiful things, and I'll maybe explain how we like to display things. Like right here, this was actually a new addition this spring. This greenhouse is from Gardener's Supply, and my parents were going to start carrying these, and they do sell them, but they wanted to put another structure right here that they could put tender things in earlier on in the season, but they just had to move everything out because we had our first 90-degree day today, and we're not even to May yet. So we're having to shift things around a little bit earlier than we're used to. But you can see the tables here, beautiful Proven Winners annuals. They just got a huge load in yesterday. You guys are gonna be, like, it's a little bit jaw-dropping when we go into the back and just even see how many of these plants are sitting on pallets waiting to be displayed. They just haven't had a chance because it's been so busy. Super Bells Tangerine Punch right here. We've got purple fountain grass, and I did see these dahlias the other day. Look at how beautiful those are. It is extremely hard to come down here and to not end up with truckload after truckload after truckload. Like, you think I have a lot of plants at my house. It could be a lot worse, a lot worse. So down this main area here to the right of the walkway, we always put these big black tables and put roses on them until they sell out. And this year, every single one of them, which I think there are 6 or 7 tables on this side, are full of David Austin roses. And they're all organized alphabetically. So it starts with Abraham Darby, and then it just moves on down to Boscobel. I've got some of these at our house. Charles Darwin, there's Carding Mill. I have these too. And then it just keeps going on, and they all look really beautiful. I can see buds starting on them right now. But it's also a fun area to display different specimen evergreens, unique things, and kind of give inspiration, I guess, or ideas to people who maybe have a hard time putting things together in their own yard, but if they come here and see differing textures put together or different hardscape elements, it's just a really fun way to display. There's not a whole lot in this nursery that's in rows. I mean, the roses are about as close as it gets to like putting everything in the same spot. Everything else is just kind of displayed in a way that's pretty. There's also a lot of beautiful structures this time of year. I just noticed this the other day, and I love the hooded top. I don't know if that's what you would call it, but it looks like kind of hooded to me. That's a really interesting shape. But then you can get an idea by seeing these viburnums. These are Wentworth viburnums planted behind it, how beautiful a ring of these behind something like that would be. I'm a huge fan of blooms that come out in a disc shape like that. These are just budded up. They're just getting started. These will be beautiful. More proven winners here. There's a Supertunia Mini Vista White, Super Bells Over Easy, some double rubies right here. I could actually see myself planting this one. Are you shocked, Aaron?
Yeah.
Like, it's a little bit like, I think you could pair it with, look at this. So there's pink right next to it. Because of the dark throat on that, this is a strawberry punch, I think. Yeah, because of the dark throat in that strawberry punch, I feel like they could go together and they look really pretty. Right in here, you can see the display that I did earlier on this spring, which is looking extremely bare right now. I put these containers out. There was something in the middle, maybe another pot or something, I don't know. And then I had that huge heron fountain from Unique Stone displayed here, and that sold. So it's always kind of a shifting game to create new things. And these are all new, like this fencing section is from Plow and Hearth. This is really a neat fence. I love that. I love the height of that. And then right now too is a great time to see evergreens because the new growth on these, this is a Fritsch Engelmann spruce. This one grows 25 by 15. I'm sure we could find a space for this one, Aaron, but they're always so beautiful and soft this time of year with their new growth. So let's see, I don't even know which direction to go. There's so many pretty things because when you come down, like you could shoot off in this direction. Or you could keep going toward the main greenhouse, but here's another table of Super Bells, the doublet Love Swept, and the Holy Smokes down there on the end, and then more David Austin roses, all capped by beautiful, interesting things. So this is this is a Snow Fountains cherry. So this just got done blooming. So this one will actually move to the back and they'll bring out something that's blooming. Like dogwoods usually happen next. So cherries and crab apples will go back to the tree racks in the back, and the new stuff that's blooming comes back out to kind of be highlighted on tables. It's always a fun shift if you have time to do it. It's just been so crazy. Like I'm actually surprised they have as much out as they do because of how nuts it's been this spring. This one right here, this display kind of like forces you to go this way. There's an electrical stub up right over there, so we always have to put something right here, which a fountain is a really good option because you can see it usually down the main aisle, but we don't want anybody to, like I ran into it once with a forklift. If there's nothing around it, it's kind of hard to see. It blends in a little bit. Maybe we should paint it a different color. There is a beech tree. This is a Rivers Purple Beech right here. But you can see, so when we do a landscape plan, or when I used to do landscape plans, there were 4 colors that I always tried to make sure was in every bed. And that was green, blue, yellow, and red. We've got green, blue, yellow, and red, all in this one section. And don't they all look beautiful together? And even if it's just like enough yellow, like in the blade of a grass, even if it's a yellow variegation, just a little hint of that color of each color in every bed somehow makes it look really cohesive and beautiful and finished somehow. This is the veg pod we planted up last year. They haven't planted it yet. They haven't had time, but this is just kind of a display model. We just gave it to them just to use as a display because it is a little difficult to move once you have it all filled up, and this is where we initially planted it. So it's kind of a fun, different look right here. If we go this way, you can see even more displays back in here. Oh, there I see a tree I kind of want. Doesn't this look like a weirdo tree? I kind of like it. It looks charming to me. Is this the sulfur flush? Picea orientalis, oriental spruce. And they grow really slow and they stay really small. And I think it looks really like, it looks kind of Charlie Brown-esque in a way. I think it's really cute. There's a big spider web on it. And then we've got Phyllis. Hey Phyllis. I built this chicken coop. This was like my first building project ever. And I built it with no plans. And I built it here in the shop. And it was in our old garden. And when we moved, we decided to bring it down here so they could use it. It's kind of starting to fall apart. Like, I am not the best craftsman in the world. We're missing a rung here. And they've had to since replace the flower basket because the one I constructed rotted and fell off eventually. But it's still in one piece, which is exciting. They just started to get hanging baskets in this week. Oh, look at this petunia. Is that like night sky or something like that, or stardust or something? Anyway, looks like it could be either one of those names. Let's go into the greenhouse. So the greenhouse is usually full on this side of vegetables. So you'll see like in the front here, there are, well, there's some basil right now, but there's peas and cabbage and lettuce, greens and onions on the top. These are all basils. And then this side is typically herbs. So you can see, usually they try to keep them pretty in alphabetical order. So we've got chives and borage usually, and then I don't know that they're kind of in alphabetical order. Chamomile on the top and coriander, curry, mince, and then they carry on with vegetables on this side. So there's peppers, and then it turns into tomatoes. Looks like there's some squash over here. Sometimes you just kind of have to move stuff in wherever there's space because there's no time to organize. That time will come a little bit later once the spring rush kind of dies down a little bit. I just saw this. So this is the Pegasus begonia right here. I grew the, oops, uh-oh. You break it, you buy it. Propagate that leaf. Anyway, I grew these a couple years ago in containers, and then I dug them up. I think we did a video about it on overwintering, what plants you could dig up and bring inside. I still have them, and they're enormous. They're enormous plants, and they do really well in pretty much any location I put them in our house. So I am a total believer in this plant, Pegasus begonia. There's a whole bunch of coleus right here lining up, and looks like some melon plants. There's a whole bunch more tomatoes right here, big beautiful ones. And then there's just like some random things back here, perennials and ground covers and hanging baskets, and then there's some sold items and some primrose left over from the spring. So I think we should go back out through the front, or do you want to go back out this way? Let's go this way. So after you come out of the greenhouse, you can see the tree rack here. This contains all maple trees, and they also go around and they go parallel the greenhouse too. There's another rack to my left, which I'll show you in a minute, because I think it's completely full of red point maples because we believe so much in that tree. But there's some beautiful specimens here. And this is usually the section that's sold out first. It's Sensation box elder, which is actually an Acer. It's in the maple family. It's not a box elder tree. We have one in our back garden, the back formal garden. And it is a beautiful, beautiful fall color, like orange, red, and purple, kind of all intermixed. Oh, I think I almost missed this. Just tucked in here behind the gazebo. It's really pretty. It has a really nice sound. And there's a great big red point right there. And if you look down this way, you can see this is the hybrid tea or grandiflora rose section right here. And so they all have their little placards, and they're all in alphabetical order. There, I bought 3 of these. I think 3. 1 or 3, I can't remember. All dressed up is what that one's called, and I think it's really pretty. I also think this one's really pretty too. They're all pretty. I will have them all, Erin. And then over here, typically, I'm not sure how it's all set up. Like these might still be hybrid tea and grandifloras. These are like extras. But then we have a Floribunda rose section. So anywhere you see the big black tables, it's typically roses of some kind. All of the, they were in the middle of putting grasses out, it looks like. All of the climbing roses are here on these tables. And then we've got like the Fotida roses and Persian roses over on this side. So there's a huge amount of roses. I think this year they brought in the most roses that they ever have. And we pot them all, I say we because I still feel like I work here. They pot them all up. So they come in bare root and they pot them up in these pulp pots right here and grow them on in the greenhouse a little bit before they bring them out here. So it's nice to let them break dormancy here. It makes for a tougher plant. Okay, I kind of want to go into the shade. Well, we can go in right here. This is just perfectly fine. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. See, doesn't that just inspire you to see those 3 plants together? You've got a Gotelli weeping spruce, which I love the bicolor. The Gotellis have that green-blue bicolor. And these are Guardian white delphiniums, which I just planted a bunch of on our west side in our moon garden, and then a heuchera. So you've got really beautiful different texture and color variation right there. Whole bunch of hostas right here. So everything you find in this shade house typically needs part shade to shade. Few things that I noticed in here that were really beautiful the other day. They've had this one here for a couple weeks. This is a Pandora ligularia. I thought that the foliage, this is actually a zone 6, so it's pushing it for us. But I thought that the foliage was really interesting, really darkly colored. More peonies in here, which will be moved out once there's more room outside. Of course, all the hostas. And as we swing this way, there's pottery always mixed in. Oh, I haven't seen these ferns. Look at this. This is a European ostrich fern. Oh my word. These are beautiful too. What is this? This is ghost fern. Oh, I'm a huge fan. So pretty. You can hear the sound from the fountain over there. We'll take a quick peek at the fountain up here. Also, I'm really considering this bench. I really like it. It's like curved perfectly. I think it would look really pretty at our house, and I think Benjamin would like it. Yes? We're kind of back up at the entryway. We'll head back in, but the fountain right here, there used to be a huge pond right here, and the rocks were built up, and there was a big waterfall that came down, and then in the middle there was a big island where there were things planted. I had to put on hip waders to get in there to weed it or to take care of any plant issues in there. But a pond is a little bit of a scary thing in a retail situation. We didn't really have proper boundaries around it, and we would always have kids falling in, so it had to go. Oh, we've got some blooms over here. Oh, tree peonies. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. Oh, that is gorgeous. I bought a white one earlier this spring to put on the west side. I don't see that they have any white ones left. Maybe they do. Yes, they're not in bloom yet, but I bought one of these. Whoops. That I thought would be really fun to put on the west side. But there's just some beautiful perennials in here. There's some hardy geraniums, Cimicifuga right here, chocolate vine, right? Black negligee. Anyway, there's some Nepeta, upright Nepeta, and some hyssop. And then on this side is where all the vines are. They just got just a whole bunch more recently. They're not out yet. But clematis on this side typically, and they've got some really unique ones. So what's this, Josari? Look at how unique that bloom is. It's kind of spidery almost. And I saw some other blooms right here. This is called a Deborah Doll. Like the lightest of periwinkle kind of lavender. And then this one here is a Mystic Gem, lavender colored. And then Nellie Mosier, which just is a fairly popular one right here. Kind of that light pink with the darker pink striping down the center. Countess of Lovelace. Oh, I haven't inspected all of these this season yet. Kathleen Dunford. Look at those. That almost has an iridescent quality to it. Boy, if this just doesn't make you want clematis. This one's called an Asao. Really kind of a delicate pink. There's the Duchess of Edinburgh, white, and a whole bunch more over here. Holy moly, whole bunch more. Louise Rowe. Is this a Jackmanii? What is this one? That one's beautiful, the purple. And pink champagne, this darker pink right here. We could just do a tour of clematis, I think. And then it turns into, well, it turns into more clematis. A lot more clematis, holy moly. But there is, it looks like Virginia creeper and porcelain vine, which I'm a huge fan of porcelain vine. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this plant, but it's got the most gorgeous lobed leaves that have white variegation. And then they get little blooms on them, but they're followed by berries that are like pink and blue. My parents have a couple of these on an arbor leading into their swimming pool area, and we've got a couple on the arbor on the west side, kind of by where the new brick path was put in. This is an interesting clematis. This is a golden harvest. So it's a downturn. I saw one of these in England. Oh. I also like that it's in pruning group C, which means you can prune it hard. I prefer clematis that you can prune hard and you don't have to worry about. Okay, so let's head back out kind of toward the front of the greenhouse and we'll head into the back area. Oh, now this right here, I feel like I need to have one of these because I feel like it looks ethereal. Is that the right word? There's a glow about this. This is a Shiloh Splash Birch. They only grow 10 feet tall by 8 feet wide, so they're just a little specimen tree with this beautiful white and green leaves. I love that. See some beautiful ginger wine 9-barks down here. I'm loving that. And the Chick Charm Sempervivums up there, which we worked with some of those plants before in our projects. Ooh, what is this kind? This is a foxtail. 30 to 50 feet tall, 10 to 20 feet wide. That's a big spruce in the end. Couple of pear trees flanking the wall fountain there. I feel like that's got a really nice sound as well. This right here is the potting shed. So this is where all the tools are kept, all of the fountain supplies, cleaning supplies, and sold tags, stuff like that. Everything's in there. Impatiens. So this is the Rocapulco rose right here, Rocapulco red. Oh, I like this one. This is Rocapulco orange. Rocapulco coral reef. That is a bright, that's got kind of an iridescent quality to it as well, like neon almost. This is Majam though right here. So these are begonias, tuberous begonias, Illumination Salmon Pink. But look, I love that color so much. I think these need to go in some of our window boxes. Diamond Mountain Euphorbia. We're going to be planting a heck of a lot of that this year, especially in our moon garden. Prepare yourselves. Back in here are tree racks, and they're all organized. So there's ornamental pears, there's ornamental plums, dogwoods. Well, there's some lindens up here too. Sometimes you don't have enough space on the rock they belong, or the rack they belong to. Service berries. Oh, there's more Sensation box elders back up. Some other things. Just a lot of trees. It looks like the crabapple section has been hit the hardest, and that's typical this time of year because they just are in bloom right now. And when they're in bloom, people come in with pictures or with little blooms, and they want to get that specific tree. And it's kind of the same with all the other ones. When you see something out there like red buds, our red bud is in glorious bloom right now, and we're just at the tail end of it, I think, but usually the red buds all sell out during the red bud blooming season because that's when people see them and really decide that they want that in their life, in their garden. And if you look all the way back there, you can see, let's just head back there. There's just roses on pallets. It's tons and tons. These are looking especially bright and pretty. These are a sunburst honey locust right here. They've got that real bright yellowy color when they come out, their new growth. Okay, so palette after palette after palette. There's hydrangeas back in there, and petunias and roses and bougainvillea. They got their tropical load in from Southern California, and that usually contains things that they try to keep under protection for a little bit till they're used to our area. Thankfully, it's turned very warm, but it's just pallets of stuff all the way around and tucked in the back. Oh, I remember this. It's just, there's a huge amount of energy down here this time of year, and I miss that. That's like my number one thing I miss is the spring energy and feeding off of each other's excitement. It's always a really fun time. Sorry, I'm trying to tour us through to where it seems cohesive, but I'm afraid I'm not attaining that. We'll see. So back up here, you can see the greenhouse. You can see the red point maples that line the greenhouse right there. There's a huge line of sprinter boxwoods right behind the maples. And you guys have to realize too, everything in here is watered by hand with a hose. There's no drip line in here. We can't overhead water because of our hard water issue. So there are usually 4 or 5 hoses going all at the same time with a person on the end just watering things, but it's a really good time. I used that time to learn a lot. Like I would read tags every day, twice a day, because in the summertime, of course, we don't have near the stock in the middle of the summer. A lot of it's gone, but you have to water twice a day when it's really hot. And so I got a lot of time behind a hose, like dreaming of garden things and learning by reading plant tags. You can learn a tremendous amount from a tag. Looks like lavender right here on this table, and these raised beds back here are the berry beds. So it looks like there's still some currants left. The tags are up front. There's Red Lake and there's a black currant still here. There's some hops, which I brought one home. The grapes are all sold out. So this was the grape bed. Now it's kind of the holding bed for little evergreens. Looks like they still have some gooseberries here. And then, oh, they've got tree roses that are David Austin. So there's Mary Rose. There is Charlotte. There's Scepter d'Isle. And I knew there was one more. Winchester Cathedral. Like, don't be surprised if you see some of these show up in our garden, if I get to them in time. And then this bed here is typically all raspberries, the whole thing. There's usually a couple different ever-bearing types, a June-bearing, a gold, a purple, and a black, and all of them are gone. It's been a crazy year for edibles, which is totally understandable. Fruit trees here, this is their second or third order of fruit trees they've brought in. So the first aisle is apples, and then it's typically, well, more apples now, but it's usually cherries right here. And then it moves on to peaches and nectarines, and then plums and pears back here. I see this tree here is a cotton candy aprium. It's an apricot plum mix. Look at how loaded this tree is. We should buy this tree. We gotta harvest this year. Cotton candy. Indescribably delicious flavor is delivered by this unique hybrid of apricot and plum. Bite into the golden orange skin of this very sweet and juicy white fleshed fruit and enjoy a unique flavor burst. Sounds interesting. Back here, there's back stock of David Austin roses here on pallets, and those swing around the fruit trees as well, right there. And then this is Evergreen Alley. Those are all backstock evergreens. So usually there are a handful of each variety displayed up front, and then the rest are back here. And that's one thing that I always appreciated about this garden center. And I know I'm incredibly biased because it's my parents' garden center, and I worked here for a lot of years, and I was around when they started it. But they always try to carry a lot of everything, of all the varieties. So when you come down and you want to do a big project, you can get 5 of this or 10 of that. Or they'll order it for you quickly so you can do your project. And it's really hard when I've gone to other places to find a big quantity of anything, and sometimes that's what you need, and it can be frustrating if you're trying to locate a specific thing in a certain number. It was kind of a random thought, but let's go this way because this is where a ton of the Proven Winners annuals are right now. So more pallets back here, and there's some beautiful things. There's some king tut grasses. There are some Supertunia Vista Silverberry, Vista Paradise. There's a bunch of coleus. I see some lemon coral sedum back there, as well as some purple fountain grass. And there are, I don't know what this is. What is this? This is a Didelta? Fancy Fillers Silver Strand. That's interesting. I like the foliage on that a lot. It looks like it would be like a tube looking succulent, but it's not. It's a really soft, thinner leaf. I might have to try some of these. But yeah, there's the lemon coral sedum back in here, more super bells, all these. I always loved this too when I saw pallets starting to empty and I could consolidate and organize. And then all of these planters right here, I think we've done a video. These go to a shopping center here in town, and we plant these up every single year. I used to do it when I was here. Now my mom plants them up, and it's usually purple fountain grass and Supertunias, and maybe an Ipomea in there, a sweet potato vine, and they're always gorgeous. But look at back in here. It just keeps on going. It's like Candyland right now. So this is Super Bells Cardinal Star. There's a Biden's that's incredible. Campfire Flame. I planted these in those teal pots last year, Erin. These are beautiful. It's always hard this time of year in spring. I always feel like doing pastel kind of colors, but I always need to remember that come August, I'm really wishing that I would have popped a little bit more autumn kind of feel in. So I try to remember that in the spring. But I know all of our color palettes are different. Vermillionaire Kufia right here. If you want something to attract hummingbirds, this plant will do it for you. They grow huge, and they create these red tube flowers, which hummingbirds are totally attracted to, and they're just covered. I hadn't seen a single hummingbird at our house, and then I planted one vermillionaire in a pot, put it kind of close to our kitchen window, and all of a sudden we had hummingbirds. I don't know if it was coincidental or if it was because I had this plant, but it made me a believer in it for sure. There's some, I never know how to say this. Is it Cleome? Spider flowers, another name for it. Senorita Rosalita. Really pretty pink flowers. I could smell this just walking around back here. This is the Amazel basil. Oh.
Boy, that's strong.
Isn't that strong?
Yeah.
Oh, I just love it. Okay, so there's Sweet Romance lavender right here, which I already snagged one of these. I'm going to be planting somewhat of an herb garden later on this week, but I love getting them in this size can. When we planted our lavender hedge in front of our vegetable garden, they were in bigger cans, which is fun to start off with big ones, but when you're doing a big hedge, it's kind of handy to have smaller pots to dig holes for. This is one I want to plant heavier of for sure. This is called Flambe Yellow. I love the foliage one, the icy blue, so it becomes this beautiful just accent plant. But I love the yellow blooms. They're so unique looking. This one needs a little bit of water. Fortunately, these like to be a little bit dry. This is a double orange right here. Wonder if that's kind of a newish one. I'm not sure that I've planted that one yet. I've done the double blue and the double, what other one? Amber. I've done that one. Supertunia Bordeaux, which is one of my faves right here. Baby tuck grass, more Supertunias, more evergreens, bunch of Leyland cypress. Oh, one last thing. I'm being too loud. I think I just scared the bird off her nest. Come over here. Do you see him? Oh. Isn't that the sweetest thing? I saw the mama fly away because I was really loud right behind it. So that's it, you guys. That's kind of the general layout of the nursery. I know we didn't look at, based on how much is in here, it doesn't feel like we looked at much, but that is kind of the general feel of what it's like here right around the first part of May. It's a wonderful, magical place, and this is where I grew up primarily. At home in my parents' fully landscaped garden, and then also here. They started this in 1990 when I was young, and then I helped, I helped them water on Sundays when I was a little kid, begrudgingly, and then I just kind of grew up helping them out where they needed it. And then there was a time where I didn't work here, and then I came back here full time after Aaron and I were married, and I was here full time for like 10 years, and I loved every second of it. I hope you enjoyed this nursery tour, and we'll probably come back later, maybe when roses start to bloom, because that's also a really fun time. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.